Let's talk about albums. Greetings, my name is Nina, welcome back to my channel, and I have some good news. Recently I got this wonderful Philips boombox. I ordered it on Amazon and I already attached some stickers. So this is a Queen sticker and also this sticker, Rock Till the End. It has both CD and cassette, and it also has a USB. I don't know how it's called, but you got it. And so since I have a boombox now, I need albums. To be honest, I wanted to get a boombox even back in 2020, and if I knew how to use online stores, dollars to Lari, I would have gotten the boombox much sooner, but it's better late than never. And here's my small collection of albums, small so far because I'm about to grow it. So the first album over here I have is The Works by Queen. On this album I really like the songs Radio Gaga, I like I Want to Break Free and Hammer to Fall. I did listen to this full album and I enjoyed it, but these are the songs that I liked most of all. And it's a good thing that I have a physical copy because I do not have access to the album on Spotify for some reason. Maybe it's blocked in Georgia or whatever, but at least I have a physical copy now. Well, to be honest, the Queen album I wanted to get was A Night at the Opera, but they had this one and also their debut album. I went for this one. Next album I have over here is Down to Earth by Ozzy Osbourne, and I did not think of getting an Ozzy album, but I got it, and I thought if I'm about to get an Ozzy Osbourne album, it should be Osmosis because it has a song I like very much, and it's Thunder Underground. To be honest, I have yet to listen to this album fully, but I really like the song Gets Me Through. This is the first song on the album. And it's also the album that has the song Dreamer. I think it's one of Ozzy's most famous songs. The next album I have over here is The Best Damn Thing by Avril Lavigne. Yes, I do like Avril Lavigne. I do listen to her sometimes. She has some pretty solid albums. But if I was to get an Avril Lavigne album, I would have preferred to get Under My Skin because it has my favorite song of hers, and it's Nobody's Home. But this one has bangers too. I really like I Can Do Better, The Best Damn Thing, When You Are Gone, and Keep Holding On. And also one of Avril's most famous songs, Girlfriend, is on this album, and this is the first Avril Lavigne song that I heard. I was at my friend's house when I heard it. I listened to this album recently and it has such a punk vibe to it. You know, and now when I think about it, it's probably a good thing that when I searched for physical albums, I found these albums and not the ones that I actually wanted, because sometimes you get to discover some hidden gems, because if I had the albums I wanted, I would not have gotten these, even though this album is pretty solid. I have yet to listen to this one, and I think that it's going to be pretty solid too. And the last albums are actually two albums by the same band, so I have two Blind Guardian albums, so Imaginations from the Other Side and At the Edge of Time. So when I ordered this boombox, I thought it would be pretty boring to order to just the boombox, and I should order at least one album, and I ordered this one. The boombox and the album, they came from different stores, but they came on the same day. So out of these 5 albums, I got Imaginations from the Other Side first. I got it back in August 2021. And all of these albums I got only recently, in November 2025. So I went to Istanbul, Turkey, and this is where I found these albums. And this one I ordered before my trip. On Imaginations from the Other Side, the songs I like very much are A Past and Future Secret, The Script for My Requiem, Mordred Song, Bright Eyes, and Another Holy War. And my favorite song on the album out of them is The Script for My Requiem. Okay, this album is pretty dark. Not something you'd expect, but it is. This one, on the other hand, is pretty epic and grandiose. This is the first Blind Guardian album that I heard, and the songs that I like most of all are Sacred Worlds, Tenelorn Into the Void, Ride into Obsession, Curse My Name, Valkyries, Control the Divine, A Voice in the Dark, and The Wheel of Time. So out of 10 songs on the album, I like 8. And now, in this little journal, I wrote down the albums that I want to get. So let's go through them. The order is random. So the first album over here is Pain Remains by Lorna Shore, and I never thought I would actually like a deathcore album, but here I am. I did listen to their least recent album, but it did not impress me that much. Pain Remains, on the other hand, did impress me, and I really want it. And the songs that I like from the album is the first one, Welcome Back, O Sleeping Dreamer. That's a pretty solid one. I also like Soulless Existence, Into the Earth. The next album on this list is Blackmore's Night, Shadow of the Moon. Okay, before I continue, I want to remind you that 5 years ago my list would have been slightly different. While the 2025 list features a lot of artists whose albums I would have loved to have in 2020, some things did change. Well, I do like Blackmore's Night, and I used to think that Ghost of a Rose was my favorite album. Yeah, it was. Then I realized that I prefer pretty much their debut album, Shadow of the Moon. It's a very beautiful album, and the songs I like a lot on this album are The Clock Ticks On, Renaissance Fair, and what else? I've suddenly forgotten which songs are from which albums. Sorry. But I still want to have Ghost of a Rose too. But Ghost of a Rose is a pretty cool album too, because it has my two favorite Blackmore's Night songs. Two songs that I listen to them the most, Lorelei and All for One. This album is not in the list, but still. The next album on the list is Never Forever by Kate Bush. Kate Bush did grow on me in recent years. When I first heard her, I did not enjoy her music that much. I thought that her voice was way too high-pitched for my taste. But Kate Bush has a very artistic sense. She's a true artist, I'd say. And when you hear her music or watch her video clips, you can feel that she is a true artist, like I said. And on this album I like the songs, obviously Army Dreamers. This has to be one of her most famous songs, and it's on this album, Army Dreamers, and also Babushka, which is odd for me to say because it's pronounced Babushka in Russian and it means grandma. So the Wedding List, All We Ever Look For, Egypt, Violin. Okay, the next album on my list is Somewhere Far Beyond by Blind Guardian, and one thing that should be kept in mind regarding this album is that in the list now I added original 1992. I added it since that the band re-recorded this album and released it last year. I think they released it in August 2024. I want the original version, but I need to point out that I prefer the re-recorded version of The Quest for Tenelorn. But you know what, 2024 version wouldn't be bad too. Nah, I'd still wanna have the original first. On the original I pretty much like the songs Theater of Pain, Time What Is Time, and surprisingly, the Bard song The Hobbit. Yes, I prefer In the Forest's underrated twin brother. Oh, and also the title are Somewhere Far Beyond is pretty cool. Moving on. Okay, the next one on my list is The Machinists of Joy by Die Krupps. So the songs on this album are both in German and in English. So there are two songs on this album I like very much. They are Night South Speed and Robo Sapien. Next album on my list is also a Blackmore's Night album, and it's Under a Violet Moon. I'd say that the first two Blackmore's Night albums are basically the best. I like the titular Under a Violet Moon, I like Morning Star, Pastime with Good Company, Self-Portrait, which is a cover of a Rainbow song, and some others. Okay, the next album is A Night at the Opera by Queen. It's a very diverse album. None of the songs are like the other. You have epic rocking, you have a cappella, you have ukulele, and what's not. This is the album that has the infamous Bohemian Rhapsody. Oh, and also one thing, the album isn't available to me on Spotify, and the good thing is that this year, this month, in November 2025, this album turns 50, and the band is releasing an anniversary version or something like that, and I hope that this version is on Spotify because this album features one of my favorite Queen songs, the Prophet song. I really want it in my Spotify favorites playlist. The next album is Demons and Wizards by Uriah Heep. On this album I pretty much like the first song, The Wizard. It's a very beautiful and relaxing song. What else? Well, I like the other songs too, but I'd say that The Wizard is my favorite from this album, and I want it in my collection. By the way, in Moscow in 2021, I nearly bought this album. I could have bought it, but here's the problem. I did not exchange enough money, and I was too tired to exchange more. So I went there with euros. I went from Tbilisi to Moscow with euros, and I do not exchange enough to buy two albums, and I was choosing between this one and Imaginations from the other side, and the latter album won. Okay, the next album is Etaji by Malchat Dama. I always thought that the name of this band is Malchat Doma, aka they are silent at home. But as it turned out, it's Malchat Dama, aka the houses are silent. It's a really odd title for a band. This is a Belarusian band. Belarus. I'm not a fan of Malchat Dama, but I did listen to Etaji, aka Floors album multiple times, and I really liked it. One of most famous songs from this album is Sudna, Boris Ryzhy. But I pretty much prefer the first song, Na Dnie. Okay, this album wouldn't have been on my list back in 2020, but that's because I never heard of this band before 2022. And I gonna thank TikTok because I found out about this band via TikTok. Okay, the next album I really want to have is Звезда по имени Солнце by Kino. A Sun Called the Star by the band Cinema movie Kino. So this summer I listened to a lot of Kino. I have an entire video dedicated to this band, feel free to check it out. And I listened to it originally back in 2012, then dropped. And this summer I went back to Kino, and this band is perfect for summer, I think. It has very strong summer vibes, and out of all their albums I like Звезда по имени Солнце. Most of all, it has the titular Звезда по имени Солнце. It has Песня без слов, aka a song without words. Spoiler, it has words. Сказка, fairy tale. Печаль, sadness. Пачка сигарет, a pack of cigarettes. And then also место для шага вперед, and a space for a step ahead. Yeah, it feels very odd to translate the titles of these songs, but in general this album is pretty solid. I really want this album in my collection. I would also like Последний герой, The Last Hero, because I also love the titular Последний герой song. The next album I want in my collection is Fallen by Evanescence. Before I discovered a lot of bands that I like, before even Nightwish, I listened to some of the Evanescence songs. I have a very unpopular opinion regarding them. They did not make enough solid material after Fallen, but nonetheless Fallen is still a solid album, and it has my favorite song of theirs, Everybody's Fool. I just love Everybody's Fool. And it's also the album that has the infamous Bring Me to Life. And I also like Going Under. Okay, so the next album on my list is Beyond the Red Mirror by Blind Guardian. and I actually had the chance to get this one in Moscow in 2021, but at the moment I did not appreciate this album enough. I always thought that this album was pretty messy, and right after I came back from Moscow, I listened to this album, and I appreciated it more. And I think if I listened to this album prior to my trip to Moscow, I would have chosen this one, Imaginations. A lot of songs on this album I did overlook, but now I love them very much. So I really like The Ninth Wave. I always love the Prophecies, The Throne, Twilight of the Gods, and Sacred Mind, Ashes of Eternity, and what else? Oh, and also At the Edge of Time. They were all on this album. Yes, they have a song At the Edge of Time, and it's not on their At the Edge of Time album, it's on this one. The next album I want in my collection is the self-titled album by Beyond the Black. Yes, I do really like this band. It's a symphonic metal band, but with more metal than symphonic. So when I listen to this band, it had a pretty interesting and unique vocals, and this band is more guitar driven. Well, it's close to power metal, let's say. It's close. Not enough, but still close. As I like to say, it's symphonic metal that actually has metal in it. Metal over symphonics, which is very good. I started appreciating this band since this one. And then I listened to their earlier stuff, and then I realized that it used to be pretty heavier prior to this album. So on this album I pretty much love Is There Anybody Out There, Reincarnation, Into the Light, and Dancing in the Dark. So I did watch the live stream of their performance on Wacken Open Air in 2023, and they impressed me very much, and then I started following them on Instagram and waiting for their releases. They have a new album coming up in January. It's called Break the Silence, so yeah, gonna listen to it. Okay, the next album on my list is the iconic Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. Okay, the album by Black Sabbath I like very much is Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. That's a pretty solid one, but I chose Heaven and Hell. I really do not know why, maybe because it felt very iconic. It has the iconic Heaven and Hell song. And what else do I like on this album? Neon Nights. Neon Nights is pretty solid. Okay, the next album I have, again, Blind Guardian, The God Machine. So I listened to the whole album only once. And since then, I threw songs from this album into the playlist, and I have been streaming them ever since for the last 3 years. This album came out on September 2nd, 2022, and I remember it very well. I was vacationing when the album came out, and I thought I would listen to the album in the morning, but I knew that I wouldn't have the ability to do so in the morning, so as soon as the clock hit 12, I did listen to it. So this one has one of my favorite songs of theirs, Secrets of the American Gods, and I prefer the single version. I actually got rid of the book that the song is based on, American Gods by Neil Gaiman, because I knew I wouldn't be reading it again. It did not attract me anymore. For a while, because of this song, I did consider buying the English version, but it got sold out before I could buy it, and afterwards I did not want to buy it. So the songs on this album I like very much are Damnation, which is based on King Hill Chronicle, and what else? Blood of the Elves, which is the name of the third book in the Witcher series, but I do not really like The Witcher that much anymore. I do not think I would be reading these books again. It's not my vibe, I think. I still have the books, and I keep thinking of giving them to my friend who likes The Witcher. I do not know. I'm not giving them away yet. And also I like Destiny, which is based on Hans Christian Andersen's The Ice Maiden story. And this inspired my reading vlog. I have, for those who do not know, I have a reading vlog dedicated to reading Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tales. I read 9 fairy tales of his in my vlog, so feel free to check it out. And the song that I streamed to a lot from this album is Life Beyond the Spheres. I do need to make a confession here. I actually want all of their albums. but I have selected these ones. So Somewhere Far Beyond, the original version, Beyond the Red Mirror, and The God Machine. So these are the 3 albums that I want to get first, and then think of the rest of the albums. Oh, and also this album has Deliver Us From Evil, which is based on The Crucible. I did not appreciate the song enough, but I did read The Crucible. I actually have an entire reading vlog dedicated to reading the books from Blind Guardian songs. Feel free to check it out. Okay, the next album I want to have is The Miracle by Queen. It has I Want It All, and it also has the title The Miracle, The Invisible Man, and my favorite song from this album. I used to think it was I Want It All, but then I realized that this one is my favorite, and it's Scandal. I absolutely love Scandal. And finally, the last album on the list is Mutter by Rammstein, because this one has my favorite Rammstein song, which is also pretty appropriate to listen to if you know German, and it's Mein Herzbrennt. So this is the song that changed my perception of Rammstein. I used to have kind of a love-hate relationship with Rammstein, but then I listened to Mein Herzbrennt, and then I was like, wow, this band is actually pretty solid. And I decided to check out more stuff from them. And in 2024, they were in my list of top 5 artists on Spotify Wrapped. Not on the first position, obviously, but yeah. This year it's not going to happen because I did not stream to them enough. I actually know all the 5 artists who are going to be my top artists. I know who is going to enter. So in the past, I used to know the 4 artists out of 5. I always wondered who would be artist number 5, and this year I know who is the 5th artist. The next album I want to have, while I did not write it down here, I keep thinking about it, and I know I want it, and it's Extreme Aggression by Kreator. I think it's a pretty underrated album. When people think of Kreator, they always bring up Pleasure to Kill album, and also probably Gods of Violence, because it has Satan is Real song, and Violent Revolution, and the one that has the title Violent Revolution, which is a pretty solid song, and probably Enemy of God. But I think that Extreme Aggression is a pretty solid album of theirs. It's pretty underrated, and in the past, when I felt stressed or overwhelmed, I used to listen to the full album, this one. Okay, that's all. These are the albums I really want in my collection. I actually want more albums from various different artists that did not make to the list, but these are the albums that came first to my mind. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Goodbye.